FNAF. Usually when a character is revealed to be a secret robot, it comes as a shock. But with the Five Nights at Freddy's series, if a character isn't revealed as a robot, we all get mad. At least some of us. And with the world Scott Cawthon has created, robots who think that they're human is a possibility. So, since it's possible, are there any other characters that could be robots that we just don't know about yet? That's what we're exploring today. Greetings gamers and welcome back to Top 10 Gaming. I'm Connor Monroe and this is the top 10 FNAF characters who could be animatronics. Let's do it. And at 10, Charlotte. Now, this is about the version of Henry's daughter from the games, but because of the parallels from the novels. Spoiler alert for the fourth closet, by the way, but I mentioned this enough times that it shouldn't really be a spoiler anymore. Charlie, as she's known in the novels, is revealed to be one in a series of 4 robots created by Henry after Charlie died at the age of 3, killed by William Afton. As a way to cope, he created 4 robots, each at a different stage of life, to simulate Charlie growing up, using a camera and tripod to make fake memories to install in each new model. What if Henry did something similar in the games though? We know that Charlotte goes on to possess the puppet, and we know that Henry learns this at some point, but what if before he learned about the possession, he created a robot version of his daughter, even if it's just the one version? It would explain why we see nothing about a murder outside the Fazbear joint in any newspaper or something in the games, because Henry never reported it so that he could recreate his daughter and then allow her to grow up, while working on setting her soul free. I mean, we see Baby with the pins that she has in the books because she's also Charlie in the books, so I mean, And at 9, Tape Girl. This one is a little more rooted in concept than theory, although it is entirely still a theory. Tape Girl, whatever her real name is since none has officially been given, is the girl we listen to on the 16 tapes that we can find throughout FNAF ER, hence her name. The one who sealed Glitch Trap in the game by splitting him into 16 pieces, but then gets possessed or taken control of by Glitch Trap, causing her to give us false information that allows us to be assimilated as well. But how does that make any sense? How could computer code that got possessed then lead to an organic being being possessed by code? It seems improbable, hence this idea. We know that the Afton virus is responsible for the FNAF AR animatronics going haywire thanks to emails we received throughout the game, and we think that the security breach animatronics are also under the influence of this virus, with the exception of Glamrock Freddy. So the virus has only been able to corrupt robotic beings when it wasn't Tape Girl. Does that mean that Tape Girl, and then by proxy our character in FNAF VR, are robots? And at 8, Phone Guy. Now, the phone guy has always seemed a little bit off to me. Not because we thought he was the purple guy or because we wanted him to be the killer, but because he's really dedicated to his job, making these training recordings while under the imminent threat of death just looming over him. And eventually, even right outside his door, literally. Like, why? If my life was at risk, I wouldn't be working, let alone filming these videos. And if there was literally banging on that door, so loud that you could hear it in the recording, I wouldn't be focused on giving you like the last few numbers. I wouldn't be focused on giving you the last hints for the night, saying I'll try to hold out in a safe room. I'd be doing everything in my power to survive. I'd be climbing out that window, pushing Chris towards the animatronics and booking it. Sorry Chris, but it's gotta happen. Screw whatever job they told me to do. Screw whatever list I'm filming. I'm out of here. Like, that's what I find suspicious. Even more so than like the physics defying doors, and you know that I hate those. Like, why is he so adamant on recording these messages? Because he was programmed to. It's his #1 directive. That's why he records them at night, so nobody sees the fact that he's a robot. The reason the animatronics attack him was because he was a naked endoskeleton, not because he was wearing a security guard uniform. Maybe the endoskeleton we see in the supply closet is actually the phone guy, and that's why the animatronics, or I guess just Bonnie, don't attack it. They've already dealt with it. Boom! And at 7, Gregory. We don't know much about Gregory, only that he'll be our player character during Security Breach and that he may be meant to represent the crying child. But other than that, the character is a mystery. This idea, however, that characters can be robots without knowing it makes for interesting theory fodder for Security Breach. In the trailer, we can hear William yell, "You will bring me what I want." And while we don't know what that thing is, with Vanessa and more so Vanny looking for Gregory, it's entirely possible that we are the thing that William wants. But Why would that be? At the end of the trailer, we see a robotic arm with purple accent lighting stretching out, almost clawing out from the depths. And this seems to me like William will be getting a full robotic body by the end of the game, only going to further add to the fact that Tape Girl is a robot idea. But also, whose endoskeleton is that? Is it Tape Girl? Vanny? The Stitch Wraith? What if it's ours? What if something inside us is what he needs? Because Gregory is a robot, hence why Glamrock Freddy is helping him, like how Baby could sense that someone else wouldn't die. More on that later. And at 6, Mrs. Afton. We know absolutely nothing about Mrs. Afton. We don't even know if there is a Mrs. Afton. We don't know her name, even though people keep saying that it's Clara. That's still not confirmed. We know nothing. She could have just been the kid's baby mama, for God's sake. There might not be a Mrs. Afton. They could have just been like a one-night stand gone wrong. Those kids may not even be Williams, or at least Elizabeth may not be, considering how Afton in the novels is described as having brown hair and gray eyes, and blonde is a recessive trait, meaning both parents would have to have the gene in order for her to have fully blonde hair, which I mean, it is possible, but it's unlikely. Yet, we don't know anything about the mother of these children. So this begs the question, did she ever fully exist? Well, we know that Michael has to be biological since the animatronics mistook him for William, but Crying Child and Elizabeth could both be adopted, meaning their mother could be unknown to William, if it was a closed adoption at least, which I'm pretty sure is something that a child killer that wanted to be a father would prefer. And what about a mother they grew up with, if any? Like, did they grow up with a mother? And if they did, what if it was Ballora who was their surrogate mother? In the books, Baby can transform from a passable human into looking like the Baby we know. So what if that's what's going on with Ballora? It would explain her song and the ultimate custom night death line of "You wanted to let me in." It's not because she represents a woman, but rather she was the mother that William built, but had to retire when Circus Baby's Pizza World closed. Deep underground where memories sleep. Halfway through into number 5, William. Whoa, okay, before you freak out, just bear with me here. Do you think it's possible that William Afton artificially enhanced himself with robotic parts? I mean, it wouldn't be the craziest thing that we've seen him do in the series, and because, like, you know, he goes crazy trying to absorb soul metal. And we know that he eventually becomes part robot when becoming Springtrap. So do you think that he could have added robotic parts before he got springlocked, either in an effort to attain eternal life or for, I guess, ease of use when carrying out his misdeeds, either in the game world or in the book series? I think it's entirely possible. Not necessarily that it's true, but that it could be possible. And it would make a lot of sense given that basically every member of his family had turned into part robot at some point. And maybe it was after the original Springlock incident from the books, or there wasn't an original Springlock incident at all, and those scars that are described in the Silver Eyes novel are from robotically enhancing himself. Honestly, with the FNAF series, we never know what's possible and what isn't. If robots can think they're human, humans can surely enhance themselves with robotic parts, right? Like, I feel like that correlates. And at 4, Henry. While William is definitely a disturbed individual, what about Henry? This man has suffered trauma too. Losing a kid is incredibly hard. I've witnessed it firsthand within my own family. That kind of thing can tear families apart and make everything seem hopeless. And I can only imagine what it would be like if it was your only child and they were that young. I can't even think of what Henry and his wife went through, which makes me think he would definitely want revenge. And while he does get it in FNAF 6, or at least he thinks he does, he lets himself burn as well. At first he says it's so nobody remembers what happened within Freddy's, but Henry is a smart guy. He should know that he needs to stick around to make sure that William is dead, because as we all know, he always comes back. So why did he stay? Maybe it's a similar case to William. After all, in his grief, getting revenge would come at any cost. And we know that he is more than willing to die, since he accepts it in FNAF 6. So maybe he enhanced himself to be on the same level as William, or an attempt to get on a higher level, so that he could just ensure his revenge. I don't know, it's just a thought. And at 3, Vanny. Assuming Tape Girl isn't Vanny and was just used to get to Vanny, could Vanny also be a robot? It's been an idea since the beginning. The possibility that Vanny wasn't an alternate persona but just a robotic version of Vanessa was shouting at me in the comments. Mostly because people thought it was canon and confirmed for some reason. But this begs the question, is it possible? With FNAF, anything is. William could be using Vanny's robotic body as a vessel until he can fully take control, or he could have made her prior to dying, or this could just be a costume version of a character we've seen before. I mean, her voice was glitching out in the trailer for Security Breach, so the possibility of her being a robot is there. I don't know, I guess we'll just have to wait until the game to see, because since that trailer we've got nothing. In it too, Michael Afton. Okay, before you flip out, this isn't about my theory, okay? This isn't me suggesting that Michael Afton is a robotic, grown version of Crying Child, okay? I'm just suggesting that there is an awful lot that's suspicious about this character that would be explained away if he was a robot. Firstly, this was already an idea from MatPat, so don't get mad at me for suggesting it. The Overlord has already propositioned this before, so don't get mad at me. The obvious place to start is FNAF 6, where Michael willingly stays at the simulated pizzeria in order to release himself and finally die. This is probably because of the remnant in his body. This remnant would have been created in sister location during the scooping, most likely, since it would have caused intense agony because, you know, he's being ripped open by a giant robotic arm. That's definitely enough to cause agony to grab onto some metal. But the issue arises with what metal? While it's easily explained away with Ennard, that wouldn't be possible, since Ennard ejects himself during the final cutscene of the game. And even if the remnant latching onto Ennard could keep him alive after he ejected himself until Ennard burned, why stick around in the pizzeria to burn alive? Like, why not just leave and let yourself fade away instead of causing so much more agony in a fire? Like, you literally let yourself burn alive. That's not something you do if you can go quietly. Simple. The agony created by the scooping grabbed onto the endoskeleton already inside Michael, hence why Ennard was able to wrap himself around it, inside of you. It wouldn't be your skeleton, because that would probably get crushed. And why Baby knew that after Ennard left, you still wouldn't die. And finally, in at number 1, anyone. In theory, thanks to the rules that Fazbear Frights has established, anyone could be a robot, or at least an AI inside of a real human body. The second Fazbear Frights book, Fetch's second story, also called Fetch, features a robot known as Lonely Freddy. These are designed to comfort and be with the kids who are alone at birthday parties or whatnot, so that they don't get sad or feel alone. However, in that story, Alec, who has just realized how bad of a person he is, encounters one of these robots in a back room. The robot asks him questions that keep getting more and more personal, until eventually the Lonely Freddy's eyes change from blue to green, Alec's eye color. And then Alec sees his own body standing before him, and he's trapped inside the Lonely Freddy. His body walks away, and winks to Alec while the Lonely Freddy Alec's soul is now possessing is thrown into a dumpster. Inside that dumpster are also dozens of other Lonely Freddys, all quietly screaming for help. Considering how there are dozens of these Lonely Freddys already possessed, and the trash gets taken out every week, at least that's how it should work unless the city is slacking, then there are hundreds of kids who, unbeknownst to their families, are already robots. And that's horrifying. Like, I already have trust issues. I already think that everyone around me is a robot because of the series. This doesn't help. There we have our friends, the top 10 FNAF characters who could be animatronics, at least in theory. Just let it be known, I don't believe all of these, okay? So just like chill out in the comments, this is meaningless fun, just relax. Which character do you think is at least part animatronic, and what other lists should we do next? Be sure you let me know down below. Thank you all so much for watching. I have been and shall remain Connor Monroe, and I'll see you in another video.